Think about it. Every single time you log in online, you're leaving a little piece of yourself behind. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking exactly how LINKSPREED LLC is building a massive revolutionary bridge to finally close that gap between our physical reality and our digital personas.
Okay, so let's dive right into this massive problem, known in the industry as the identity gap. Right now, to do almost anything of actual value online, you basically have to hand over super sensitive pieces of your identity to third parties. Honestly, it's exactly like handing a total stranger on the street your entire wallet just to prove you're old enough to get into a venue. Make sense? As we make this giant leap into Web 4, figuring out how to prove who we are without just hemorrhaging our personal data is, hands down, tech's absolute most pressing issue.
To get our heads around this, here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start with the identity gap, move into the UID hybrid model, compare physical versus virtual cards, touch on security and R&D, and finally, look at the big 10-year vision.
All right, Section 1, the identity gap, and the disconnect we're seeing in Web 4. So here's the core issue. Right now, we just completely lack a secure, private bridge to connect our actual, physical selves with who we claim to be on the internet. And as our lives become even more deeply intertwined with Web 4, this need for a verified link between the flesh and blood you and the digital you, it's absolutely undeniable. The current setup is basically a fragile house of cards. It leaves us constantly vulnerable to massive data breaches and identity theft. We need a real anchor.
Moving to Section 2, the UID hybrid model. This is what they're calling the universal passport for the modern age.
Right at the core of all this is the UIID. That stands for the Universal Integrated Identity Decoupled Protocol. Now, the folks at LINKSPREED realized something pretty crucial. We simply cannot solve physical-to-digital problems using only digital software. It just doesn't work. So the UIID protocol moves way beyond that limitation. It aims to completely merge our physical and digital realities into one cohesive, incredibly secure hybrid infrastructure.
Which brings us to Section 3, physical versus virtual cards. These are the two core pillars of the system.
Now, this is where that whole bridge concept becomes tangible. On one side, you have your physical UID cards. This is your hardware root of trust. Literally, a biometric-enabled card you actually hold in your hand. It acts as a tactile anchor for your physical presence, especially during high-value transactions. On the flip side, you have your virtual UID card, your dynamic digital twin. This uses zero-knowledge proof, or ZKP technology. You can kind of think of ZKP like a bouncer at a club who can cryptographically verify you're over 21 without ever needing to see your actual birth date or name. It's brilliant. The physical card anchors you in reality, while the virtual card fiercely protects your privacy in Web 4.
All right, Section 4, Security and R&D Integration, specifically the research happening at Workspace Labs.
This specialized R&D is laser-focused on some massive technological breakthroughs. First up is cross-reality verification, basically seamlessly connecting the physical and the virtual. Second is biometric decoupling. What this means is that specialized sensors verify your biological signature locally, right there on the card itself. And third, well, it's the holy grail of digital privacy, zero central database storage. Your personal data never, ever sits on a central server just waiting to be hacked. It stays entirely in your pocket.
To really visualize how empowering this actually is, let's just walk through the seamless process of bringing your physical identity into the digital space. Step 1, you simply perform a physical tap with your UIID hardware card. Step 2, those biometric decoupling sensors instantly verify your unique biological signature completely locally. Honestly, this is huge. Absolutely no internet check is required for your fingerprint or biometric data. And step 3, once you're verified locally, the card instantly authorizes a highly secure session in your virtual Web 4 environment. It's incredibly fast, perfectly seamless, and your private data never actually leaves your hand.
And finally, Section 5, the 10-year vision, building what they call the invisible infrastructure.
You know, this entire roadmap we've just covered, from the physical cards to the biometric decoupling, it's just the beginning of a sweeping 10-year vision. LINKSPREED isn't just releasing a product here. They are literally aiming to completely restructure how humanity interacts with the internet over the next decade.
Imagine a totally decentralized future powered by their 7-layer Linux operating system. This whole thing is designed to create an invisible infrastructure where you are the absolute administrator of your digital life. Because your identity is so firmly rooted in your physical UIID card and verified locally, passwords, they become entirely obsolete. Yes, you heard that right. No more resetting your password just because it didn't contain, a special character and a random hieroglyph. It's gone. This is all about true data ownership and absolute personal sovereignty.
I think this quote from the LINKSPREED executive team perfectly distills the core philosophy of the UID roadmap. They state, "Our vision is simple. Your identity should belong to you, whether you are holding it in your hand or using it to sign a contract across the globe." It's powerful, right? It is all about returning digital power back to the individual, right where it belongs.
So the technology to finally bridge the identity gap is being built right now in Albuquerque. Passwords and massive vulnerable databases, they could very soon be a thing of the past. Thank you for joining me for this explainer. As Web 4 rapidly becomes our everyday reality, I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. Are you ready to take full ownership of your identity?